Thank you to Jared Schaefer for your support on Patreon. Hello everyone, my name is Vivian and welcome back to Temptations Ballad. On the last episode, we got the backstory of the conflict between Cole and Clyde, and now we're going to the City Watch Sheriff's Office, where I imagine we're going to see that one, what was he, like a dog sheriff? The City Watch office building was the same today as it always was, severely understaffed and swamped with paperwork. There he is. Wes was alone as he hunched behind his desk with a weary grumble. When he first began his job, he figured he'd be busy fighting crime and stopping evildoers instead of becoming a glorified secretary. His back was sore and his eyes heavy. The mountain of paperwork in front of him seemed endless. What he wouldn't do for a little distraction right about now. Bam! There he is. Yo, Wes, how's my favorite annoying City Watch doing today? What in the world? Wes screamed and jumped so hard that he slammed his kneecaps into the corner of his desk. Oh, that sucks. That hurts. Tears welled to the edge of his eyes as he clutched his leg with a whine. Call it a bone breaker, where? Wes paused and scanned the room furiously. That accursed hyena was nowhere in sight. Was he playing a prank on him again? Wes swore that he heard the little rascal just now. Psst, down here. The sheriff ducked under his desk to find himself face to face with his horrid arch nemesis. Yo. Fucking there he is. Why you down there? Nah, whatever. How the hell you even sneak in here? Cole smirked as he teasingly rested his hand on the sheriff's knee. Aw, what's the matter? You can't honestly say you haven't thought about me being between your legs at some point. Fucking hell. Heat immediately flooded the sheriff's face. Absolutely not. The only place I want to see you is behind bars. And more to the point, you're trespassing on City Watch property right now. Cole looked unimpressed. Really? You guys have a big open sign on your front door. Near the bottom of the sign, there's a small text that says, all welcome except call it a bone breaker. He squinted. Huh, I guess you're right. When did you add that? I never noticed the dozen times I sneaked in here. Wes crossed his arms and tried his best to look intimidating. Enough with this chit-chat, Colony. What are you doing here? All his attempts to... Jesus Christ. All his attempts to look tough melted away the moment he felt Cole's fingers dance teasingly across his inner thigh. Wes sat frozen, face burning red. He could only watch Cole smirk as the little rascal pulled himself up and sat snugly on his lap. Wes shivered as the sensation of Cole's warmth rubbed against his pants. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ. His heart hammered against his chest in a mixture of horror, panic, and slight arousal. All things that the sheriff of the City Watch should not be feeling right now. I noticed that you haven't tried to arrest me all day and got a little worried. And so I dropped by for a visit. Wouldn't want to deprive you of my company. Cole's low voice was a low purr that sent tingles up Wes's spine. Get the hell off of me, bone breaker! I got work to do! Can't honestly say that any of your work is more fun than trying to catch me. I'm the funnest part of your job. Fucking Cole's shimmering around back there. Cole scanned the small mountain of paperwork on the desk. Firefly Festival safety regulations, brawling tournament precaution, mysterious fainting phenomena, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't expect a miscreant like you to appreciate the work that goes on around here. We're out of this swamp thanks to the festival tomorrow. Wes huffed and began shuffling his papers back in order. He noticed that we made no effort to push Cole off his lap. Why the fuck is he all the way over there then? You moved the character, but not... whatever. Only because he's luring Colony into a false sense of security. Obviously, sure he's been alone in his office all day, but he wasn't lonely. That would be ridiculous. The City Watch is increasing the amount of security precautions this year in order to make the festival perfectly safe for once. All the streets will be lit up with pillars of arcane crystals instead of lanterns. Hopefully drunk hoodlums won't be knocking them over and starting fires like they did last year. And we're also using illusion magic to substitute the usual festival fireworks so no one gets home, no one goes home burnt, so no one's home gets burnt down again. And the brawling tournament, don't get me started. All participants' weapons will be coated with a special wax that blunts any blades and edges. The goal is to reduce the number of toes and fingers lost by at least 50%. Paying for healers to reattach limbs has been eaten into our expenses. Surprisingly, Cole watched him organize his list with interest. Wes would never admit it out loud, but it felt nice to rant about work to someone who would listen. The hyena leaned over and plucked one of the papers from the pile. What's this about a fainting phenomenon? Wes groaned and slumped down in his chair. Oh, that. Ever since preparations began for the Firefly Festival, there have been reports of people randomly passing out in the streets in broad daylight. People all ages, mostly commoners, would kneel over utterly exhausted for no reason. It was as though they just got the life drained out of them. Luckily, it doesn't seem too serious. Most of the victims made a full recovery after a day rest. Still, we haven't been able to find the source of these faintings. It's making people nervous. Wes sighed and rubbed his eyes wearily. He still has so much work ahead of him. He suddenly blinked. Why the hell am I telling you all this? Get the hell out of my office, bone breaker! Cole smirked and grinded his hips against Wes's lap, forcing an embarrassed squeak out of him. I knew you secretly enjoyed my company. Good thing, too. You're my best source of news for any recent events in the city. Speaking of which, I need to ask you for a favor. You City Watch folks are supposedly good at watching the city, right? Have you run into this specific street urchin? He's around 15 years old, Siamese cat. Looks like an utter piece of shit. Wes huffed and crossed his arms indignantly. I ain't got time to keep track of every little street rat around here. If you're looking for urchins, just walk around the Firefly Festival stalls tomorrow. There are plenty of those ankle biters begging for scraps every year. Cole scratched his chin thoughtfully. Not a bad idea. Thanks, Wes. I knew you wouldn't let me down. I ain't doing any of this to help you. Aw, but you did help me in the end. Is there any way I can thank my favorite City Watch sheriff? Wes gulped, his heart suddenly hammering against his chest. Why does he always feel like this around the damn rascal? Cole gave him a sly smirk as he slid a teasing hand down his abdomen and danced teasingly across the hem of his pants. Come on, Wes, I know you wanna. Deep inside that proud man of the law is the heart of a pervert. Wes felt like his mind was short-circuiting. Suddenly, there were footsteps at the entrance of the office. His co-workers were returning from their lunch break. Wes shrieked before leaping onto his feet and grabbed Cole by the scruff of his neck. Hey, let go of me, you little out. Wes didn't let the hyena say another word. He dragged the rascal across the room and unceremoniously dumped him out of the nearest window. Wes slammed it shut before slumping to the ground, his racing heart struggling to calm down. Nobody saw him, right? Ugh, that damn hyena is gonna be the end of me. Oh, man. He want it. He want it, man. He is thirsty. Alright, so that's all for the Market District and the Marauders District. So now that leads us to the Church District. Yay. Oh, so it's only one in the Church District. The trip to the Grand Cathedral was a quiet and awkward one. Cole repeatedly shot glances towards Artemy as they walked, quietly contemplating his next words. He supposed that if he made Artemy angry, he could just hide behind Sid or something. Cole cleared his throat loudly. So, I know you were super excited to show us around the Grand Cathedral and whatnot, but you understand the main reason why we're here, right? Artemy looked at him strangely. We're going to ask the Knight Commander about the circumstances of the Crown delivery mission, are we not? Yeah, here's the thing. Cole Winston preemptively hid behind Sid's large figure. Your Knight Commander was the one who gave you the mission last minute, which then set everything else into motion. That kind of implicates him as being at least a little suspicious. Instantly, Artemy whirled around with a glare of absolute fury. Sparks of angry lightning crackling across her armor. If looks could kill, I wish I could see it. You haven't changed the sprite yet. Cole would have withered into dust before he even hit the ground. There she goes. How dare you! Sir Grank! I keep forgetting his fucking name is Grank. Sir Grank is the most righteous and kind knight in all of Axia. He's the Knight Commander of the Church, and for goodness sake! Oh, jeez, I spooked the dog. Sorry, bro. I'm just saying. There is no possible way that he would be connected to any of this. I'm sure you all will be convinced once you meet him. None is more proper than our good knight. Oh, there he is. There's good old Grank. She was cut off by a large polar bear bursting through a nearby door and enthusiastically waving to them through a jolly laugh. Ah, you have arrived. Which one of you young'uns managed to humiliate our dear bishop in public today? You have my sincerest congratulations. That was the best laugh I've gotten in months. Artemy's jaw dropped in shock. The Knight Commander? You mustn't be so blatantly crude! Oh, dear pupil, I am the Knight Commander of the Church. I do what I want. Commander, please behave yourself. Anyways, are these your friends you mentioned in your letter? I bid you all welcome to the Grand Cathedral. The large polar bear bowed politely with a jolly smile. Artemy grinned before swiftly shooting a glare at Cole and Sid, mostly Cole, that clearly says, be nice. Sid shuffled nervously and waved. Hello. Cole, meanwhile, gave the large handsome bear an appraising look before letting out a low whistle. Come on, man. Whoa, Artie, you didn't tell me that your commander was such a fine, grizzled bear. Let me know if you're pent up from all this knight business. I might have a holy solution for you, if you know what I mean. Grank's bushy eyebrows shot up so quickly that they almost escaped his head. Oh! And he's down. The hell was that for? Apologies. I did not understand a word of what you said, but I was suddenly overwhelmed with the urge to clobber you. Beside them, Grank broke into a deep, jovial laugh. My Artemy! Your new friend is quite the flatterer! Be wary, Commander. He is a menace to society. Hey, I was just being friendly. Your friendship often comes at a price. Artemy shook her head shamefully and bowed towards Grank. Please forgive his insolence, Knight Commander. Grank waved it off with a good-natured smile. There is nothing to forgive. Who am I to turn down such charming compliments? Cole grinned up at Grank, impressed. Huh, good to know not all holy knights are uptight killjoys. A pleasure to meet you. Likewise, though I must say... oh God. Oh, he is... Oh Lord. What is about to happen? Grank kneeled down and leaned toward Cole with a sly grin. He was a large and imposing man, and suddenly very close. Intimately close. Cole could feel the heat radiating off the bear as the sensation of Grank's warm muzzle brushed against his ear. The commander suddenly whispered to him in a deep, husky voice. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm afraid you can't handle what this bear has to offer, little man. Once I'm through with you, you'll never walk straight again. Cole's face flushed with a hot shiver shot up his spine. As quickly as he came, Grank quickly stood back up and laughed jovially as though nothing had happened. Words completely failed him as Cole's jaws hung open in bewilderment.
But boss, you alright? What did he whisper to you?
Cole continued to stare dumbfounded, gaping like a goldfish. This fucking face. Artemy grabbed his shoulder and shook him suspiciously.
Cole? What happened? Knight Commander, what sort of intimidation tactic did you use?
I did no such thing, dear pupil. If you're so curious, you should ask him yourself.
Cole suddenly snapped out of his trance and pointed an accusing finger at Grank.
This was a trap! Even if I told them the truth, they'd never fucking believe me!
Knight Commander Grank smiled innocently.
I don't know what you're talking about, young man. Oh, in the future I advise you to avoid dishing things you can't take.
Cole, what are you two talking about? It is very rude to keep secrets during a conversation.
That is something you can ask your friend at a later time. Anyway, I assume you're all here to speak about yesterday's events?
Don't change the subject!
If there's anything I can do to aid in your mission with my dear Artemy, do not hesitate to ask. I am happy to support you in any way I can.
Yes, there are a few things that we'd like to clear up, if that's okay with you, sir.
You know everyone's going to just be asking for a lewd scene between Cole and the Knight Commander now. You have written your own destiny here, brother.
Ask me anything you'd like. Once your friend's wits have returned to him, of course.
Cole finally closed his gaping maw and cleared his throat loudly. He absolutely will not allow this old bear to fluster him like this. Focus! Right. We've got some questions for you. Oh, okay. So, 4 things. Introductions. Alright, where are my manners? I'm Cole Bonebreaker, and this is my lackey and muscle, Sid. And obviously you already know Artemy. Chosen One, Goody Two-Shoes, Hyperventilating Mess. Hey! It's a pleasure to meet you. Grank's eyebrow perked up with interest.
Bonebreaker? Now there's a name I haven't heard in a long time. I've had many encounters with your father in the past, young Cole.
You have?
During his reign of terror, where Mera Bonebreaker and his band of merry gay men pillaged the nobility of their riches, I was tasked with stopping them. Alas, I never succeeded in capturing him. I am glad for my failure, however. Your father is a good man with admirable intentions and questionable methods.
Cole puffed out his chest with pride. Of course you didn't. You couldn't even touch Papa. His strength as a mercenary is even greater than the legends. Grank sighed, eyes filling with nostalgia.
I admit the real challenge was fending off his partner, Hamish. That man is a fiend, dashing in and out of the shadows like a ghost, raining arrows and entangling my soldiers in the most complex trapwires. The battle was already lost before we could even reach your father. Those two make a deadly duo.
Cole grumbled. Now you're just giving him too much credit. Papa did most of the heavy lifting on the front lines. Grank chuckled quietly.
With such legends raising you, I suppose we can expect great things from you in the future, Cole Bonebreaker.
Yeah, I suppose you can. Grank turned towards Sid with a kind smile.
And you, young man, where do you hail from?
Oh, I'm not from some legendary mercenary family or some chosen hero. I'm just some commoner Artemy ran into yesterday, but I'm pretty happy to help out.
Why is Artemy still over this? Why is she still... Anyway, a proud laugh escaped Grank as he thumped Sid on the back.
Humble beginnings. I, too, began from a humble start. Far more than you, I dare say. Hold your head up, boy. There is no shame in your origin, only pride. I have no doubt that you have much to offer.
Really? You think so?
If I can make it this far, so can you, son.
Cole fell silent and peered at the old bear curiously. Highest-ranking Knight Commander came from a humble start. It wasn't an impossible idea. The church was quite fond of such feel-good success stories. But reality, on the other hand? Cole's eyes narrowed. Something wasn't adding up. Well, about the delivery mission. We have some questions about that delivery mission you gave Artemy yesterday. Why did you suddenly hand it off to her? She's literally the most unreliable delivery person you could have possibly chosen. Artemy grumbled and elbowed his side sharply. Rude! Hey, I was just telling it like it is. While honesty is a virtue, I believe it should be applied constructively. Cole rubbed his sore ribs with a pout. What happened to you? You were so meek and polite yesterday. Upon meeting you, I have since discovered that patience is a limited resource. Jesus Christ, she is that friend that completely changes when you meet her parents. Cole turned towards Grank with exasperation. You gave the very important crown to this? Grank chuckled.
I simply wanted to give dear Artemy an excuse to get out and stretch her legs. A young lady shouldn't be cooped up in a dusty cathedral for her whole life.
He sighed ruefully.
It was supposed to be a simple task. I never imagined things would get so serious.
Cole scratched his chin and stared at Grank suspiciously. Is that the entire reason? The old bear's smile faltered before returning with a mischievous chuckle.
I admit that I partially did it out of spite. Yesterday morning, I ran into our dear bishop giving Artemy another one of her harsh lectures. That never sat well with me. Then it dawned on me. I could kill two birds with one stone. Artemy could take on this simple delivery job, and I could deeply annoy the bishop all in one fell swoop.
Knight Commander, you should really act more amicable around Her Excellency.
Grank waved his hand dismissively.
She knows I don't like her. There's no point in pretending otherwise.
Artemy sighed and stared down at her feet.
Just once, I wish everyone here could get along.
Should your mother decide to treat you with dignity, I shall extend the same kindness to her. Alas, that day has yet to come.
Dots. Cole glanced at Artemy with concern. He had noticed since yesterday she had a habit of gnawing at the thumb of her glove when she was especially anxious. It's probably best that they change the subject. So you decided to give the delivery order to Artemy last minute on a whim. Nobody else knew about it? Grank scratched his chin thoughtfully.
Well, I received notice of this mission the day before from the prince. His Highness mentioned offhand that he had always wanted to meet the Creator's Chosen, so I thought that might have played a part in my decision. Besides that, nothing else comes to mind.
I see.
Sorry, could you excuse me for a moment?
Cole pardoned himself from everyone and pretended to adjust his pants/loincloth in a corner. As soon as he was at a discreet distance, he nudged his pockets urgently. Hey, Noodle, you there? The ball python poked his head out and immediately grimaced. Oh, hey, it's the voice that's... Yeah, the Knight Commander and Malice have almost the same voice, except the Knight Commander is slightly aged.
Ugh, this place smells disgusting. The stench of celestial magic is everywhere. How can you stand it? I think I'm going to vomit.
Stay with me, you little shit. Demons are pretty sensitive to magic, yeah? Can you sense if the Knight Commander has been manipulated in any way? Malice hissed indignantly.
Why in the world would I ever help a puny mortal like you?
I'll get us another helping of Mrs. Shrikewood's cheesy bread if you help out.
Deal!
Cole blinked. The demon agreed much faster than he expected. Malice flicked his tongue at Grank in the distance, who was chatting merrily with Artemy and Sid. He flinched and gagged loudly.
Oh, utterly vile. He stinks of celestial magic almost as much as your shiny friend with the anxiety.
Come on, give me something useful. Snake shook his head and focused again. His eyes suddenly flashed a deep red. Ooh, flash! The mind link between the two of them held strong. Cole felt his own eyes water and ache with the strain of arcane magic. What the hell are you doing?
Clairvoyance.
The snake peered towards Grank across the room with glowing red eyes. Cole gulped and shifted his position in an attempt to hide the dim scarlet light.
Oh my! Oh my! Oh my!
What is it? What did you see?
Look at the size of that thing. This man is packing!
Dude, focus!
I don't want to hear that coming from you of all people.
Malice observed further.
There are only slight traces, but there seems to be leftover fragments from some sort of spell. Not very strong. Suggestion, perhaps?
Suggestion?
It is like a weaker version of your charm person spell. However, it is much more discreet. It is strange, though. Paladins are supposed to be resistant to mind control.
Cole scratched his chin thoughtfully. There's a high chance that the prince cast a suggestion spell on Grank to get him to pass the delivery onto Arteme. But why, though? Did he want his crown to get stolen? I think the prince is the cloaked figure. That's my theory. Cole peered at his demon companion. What are you demon folk planning? Malice rolled his neck in a snake equivalent of a shrug. Nice way to get out of describing it.
I'll be honest with you, puny mortal, I have no idea. I just agreed to all this because I wanted to travel to the material plane. All my siblings have come here before, it's high time I get the opportunity as well. The general gist of the deal with our summoner was to just make contact with mortals and collect their negative emotions. These negative emotions are then used as fuel for our infernal strength.
And the crown ended up in an illegal fighting ring where the rubies were scattered among various shady people who are rife with negative emotions. Things are slowly starting to make sense. Oh boy. Well, they're all back together now. About the crown. Yeah, I've got a question. Why does the prince want a crown that looks straight out of an evil fairy tale? That can't be good for his reputation. Grank shrugged.
I didn't design the darn thing. The crown was ordered by King Roderick to be created by one of his loyal arcane researchers back when our dear king was still alive. I hear that the crown has some special magical properties, but I am unsure on the specifics.
Couldn't the king ask for a more friendly design? Dark, pointy, and mysterious doesn't exactly do him any favors. Someone could have at least told him it was a bad idea. Grank gave Cole a pointed look.
Ah, yes. Your Majesty, do you accept constructive criticism? Your taste in fashion is shit.
Okay, point taken. Well, last but not least, Prince Cassius! What can you tell us about the prince? I don't think I've actually ever seen the guy before. Grank chuckled, but his smile did not reach his eyes.
The prince is a timid and shy young man who is around your age, I believe. I served as his personal protector from time to time. A rather unfortunate necessity considering his unorthodox origins.
What do you mean?
King Roderick and Queen Tabitha were an infamously barren couple. Throughout their reign, they failed again and again to conceive a child of their own. Many grew worried about how the line of succession would be handled when the time comes. Then a few years ago, suddenly, out of the blue, His Majesty introduced Prince Cassius to the world as their only son. Many people question his legitimacy, but the family resemblance is undeniable. King Roderick was quick to silence anyone who questioned the prince's status.
I think I remember this announcement. There was a lot of gossip and rumors surrounding the whole thing. A prince that just showed up out of nowhere, Cole scratched his chin thoughtfully. If I may ask, how did the king and queen die? I don't think I've heard any public details about it.
Well, as you know, Queen Tabitha has always been very sickly throughout her life. The king toiled day and night to find a cure for her condition, Dr. Freeze style, and set countless researchers and healers on the task. The only reason she survived so long was due to King Roderick's arcane prowess supporting her. Alas, it was not enough. The queen passed away from a sickness around a week ago. King Roderick was beside himself with grief. None of his servants could coax his majesty to eat or rest. He died shortly from exhaustion and grief a few days later.
That's horrible. They're not even that old. May they rest peacefully in the Creator's embrace.
How did the prince take all this?
Oh, the poor boy was a nervous wreck. He had always been an anxious man before, but the passing of both his parents did a number on his nerves. One could scarcely walk in his direction without him jumping in fright.
Oh, let's address it. Something's off. As their conversation dragged on, Grank caught sight of Cole's suspicious glances. An oddly satisfied smile spread across his face. The polar bear turned toward Artemy.
Artemy, why don't you show your new friend around the cathedral? I'd like a word in private with your adventuring party leader, if you don't mind.
Huh? Oh, that's an excellent idea. Come, Sir Sid, the cathedral has the most stunning courtyard. Hey, wait up!
Oh, here we go. Artemy eagerly dragged a surprised Sid outside without a second thought. Grank waited patiently for the two to move out of earshot before turning towards Cole. What's this all about?
You've been staring at me with such perceptive eyes, young man. I figured there was something you wanted to discuss.
Cole peered at the Knight Commander strangely. Yeah, something's been bothering me. Your name is Grank Stormborne? That sounds awfully... The smile on the bear's face grew with an amused glint.
Go on.
Cole swallowed down his nervousness. That doesn't sound like a name a highborn knight commander would have. Usually nobles would name their kids something a little more elegant. No offense, sir.
None taken.
And Stormborne, that's more of a given title than an actual surname. Grank let out a jovial bark.
Amusing, coming from the guy named Bonebreaker.
The entire guild's like 99% sure Papa renamed himself that at some point. If you got a problem with our name, you can direct your complaints to Papa. Cole cleared his throat loudly. Anyway, all this points to you starting off as a lowborn, but somehow worked yourself up to the position of Knight Commander and even somehow earned yourself a title. Forgive me for my rudeness, but that doesn't sound very in character for this church. So what's your whole deal? You're no ordinary Knight Commander. Grank laughed.
My, what a sharp mind you have. Artemy has chosen her friends well. You are correct in your observations. Before my time at the church, I had no surname, because in my youth, I was just another low-born street urchin among many in this apathetic city. An urchin who grew up to be a petty criminal. And from petty criminal to a true menace to society.
Grank watched Cole's shock with amusement.
Oh, the church does its best to hide this fact about the great Knight Commander, but I have no shame in it. I did what I must in order to survive. The church didn't see it that way, as you might expect. Eventually, the city guards captured me and deemed me more unworthy to live among my fellow men.
Grank's jolly perpetual smile faded a little.
But then, a miracle happened. On the day of my execution, where I was to be hanged, I was suddenly blessed by the Creator's holy flames. Instead of dying on that rope, golden flames enveloped my body and freed me. All of my wounds healed, all my pains undone. And ever since that day, I have been blessed with a great celestial power.
He raised an armored hand to demonstrate. Golden fire suddenly fluttered across his palm with an abnormally bright glow for a flame of its size. Cole watched this display of celestial magic with fascination. It felt similar to Artemis' display of magic from yesterday, but completely different at the same time. Grank's flames danced gently in the air with a warm, welcoming glow like a cozy hearth in winter. It gave Cole a protective sensation, as though someone was wrapping him in a big, fluffy sweater. Artemis' magic, on the other hand, felt angrier, sharper, more intense, like the enraged screams of lightning that bled across a stormy sky. It was extraordinary how the same breed of celestial power could take such different forms. This magic, it's from the Creator's blessing? Greg nodded. There was a solemn wariness in his eyes.
Indeed. Perhaps not powerful enough to be considered the Creator's chosen, but I undeniably received her blessings nonetheless. The discovery that a criminal was protected by the Creator sent the clerics of the church scrambling for an explanation. Some insisted that I should be hanged again, and others considered this a form of divine intervention. After a lot of squabbling, the church deemed that the Creator had a plan for me, and worked to reform me into a holy knight under their name. It took countless lectures and no small number of beatings, but they managed to get their way.
The knight sighed with a nostalgic smile.
And with that, the petty criminal Grank was straightened out into the respectable holy knight Grank Stormborne. Apparently, I'm fairly good at what I do. After years of service, I climbed the ranks within the church and became an esteemed knight commander, and also the greatest stain upon the church's history of blessed knights.
Cole sat quietly through Grank's tale, his mind reeling. Why are you telling me all this? Grank shrugged nonchalantly.
Because you asked.
What? You're open to sharing everything just like that?
Like I said, I'm not ashamed of my origins. I have made no attempts to hide myself. My fellow churchgoers make an effort to hush this information from the public, however.
Does Artemis know? Grank's shoulders suddenly stiffened.
She does not.
Why?
Unlike you, she simply never asked. I admit the way she looks upon me with such undying faith, as though I were a man who could do no wrong, it warms my soul. I dread the day where I must disappoint her with reality. Perhaps a friend like you could help lessen the blow.
The Knight Commander let out a deep sigh and kneeled down to stare at Cole eye level. Under all that jolly smiling and cheer, there was an exhausted air to this old bear.
Quality Bonebreaker, might this old bear ask you for a favor?
Huh?
You are the leader of Artemis' little adventuring party, are you not? I ask that you keep an eye out for her, and support her with all your might, should she ever need it. Do it for this old bear, won't you?
Grank's gaze drifted off.
One day, she will venture into situations that I can no longer aid her in. I will have a greater peace of mind, knowing that she has good friends looking out for her.
Dots, why are you asking me this?
You are the son of the cunning Hamish of the Bonebreaker Mercenary Guild. That much is clear from your sharp wit. If you are even half the man your father is, I know I can trust you with this task.
Cole's stomach churned uncomfortably. Well, that's new. I can promise you, but I am kind of a chronic liar, so I'm not sure how much peace of mind that'll give you.
I am well versed with the follies of the young. Even an empty promise is enough to instill an idea in your mind.
Grank smirked.
You may act tough, but guilt is one hell of a motivator.
Cole scowled and crossed his arms defiantly. We'll see about that. Before I go, I've got one last question.
Ask away, young man.
Cole paused hesitantly. Do you really believe you were blessed by the Creator? Grank shrugged.
Perhaps. Perhaps this was all a freak accident. Oh, maybe the Creator has a very sick sense of humor. I admit I wasn't always happy about my place in life, but...
Grank glanced across the cathedral at Artemy chatting excitedly with Sid. His face softened.
Sometimes there are things worth living for.
Damn, man. Oh, I mean... we've done all these now. Oh, did we never go here? We never went to the Adventuring Guild. Fucking hell. Well, that'll be the next fucking episode, I guess, eh? Christ alive. I wonder how long people have been commenting that. Well, thank you for watching this episode of Temptations Ballad. On the next one, it'll be the Adventurers Guild. But until next time, y'all, I've been the Trained Unprofessional. Make sure you go to the links in the description down below to support this game. If you want to play it for yourself, it's free, but in development. So be patient. Also in the description are various ways to support me if you are so inclined. Leave a comment down below if you too want porn of the Knight Commander. Also, while you're down there, make sure you subscribe, ring the bell if you are so inclined, so you can get future updates when this game gets more episodes. And if you want to see other stuff I've already done, links in the cards up above and on the end slate. That's it. Thank y'all for watching. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.